Today, on Be Something Wonderful, watch this and you'll never lose faith again. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators and members, welcome back. 2 big videos today. One's going to be released on the membership channel, and one is going to be released on the public channel. And I want to start this video with talking about faith, because with one of my clients, she was really at a point where she was saying, Tom, I just don't know how to keep the faith. I feel like I lose my faith, and then I'm struggling or efforting to get it back. And really, what is faith? I mean, I think I believe, but I'm not sure I believe. All of this was going on with her as she was trying to reconcile her thoughts and feelings about this. So today, guys, we're going to talk about faith, and we've talked about it in many different ways, in many different videos. And there's a lot on the channel about it, but we're going to take it to a whole new level today. So what is faith? Well, it's a knowing of what you truly are. Of who you truly are, yes, but really of what you truly are, because it goes beyond the who, it goes beyond the me. It goes beyond the ego identification. It's something much bigger. It's eternal. It's changeless. It's that love. It's that I of who you are. But then what does that mean? So what does that mean then, that knowing what I truly am? Well, it's the inner movement to go beyond the mind and body. It's to move beyond the thoughts and the 3D conditions. Those are always changing. And the more you get bogged down in temporary thoughts, feelings, and conditions, the less that you are of who you really are. Do you hear that? The ego is about effort. The who you really are is effortless. So the less effort you're feeling, the more ease you're feeling, the more love you're feeling, the more who that you truly are you're feeling. And in fact, the more faith you're feeling. Do you hear that? Effort moves you away from faith. And effort is the opposite. Faith is effortless. Faith is who you really are. The more you feel at ease, the more you feel that loving nature, the more you love, the more you're feeling that inner I, who you truly are, right? That's faith, right? It's moving beyond these temporary thoughts and conditions. It's perceiving the nature of true reality. Really, it's perfect belief, right? Belief always implies that belief can be shaken, right? Belief that you believe is faith can be shaken. But pure belief, perfect belief, absolute faith can't be shaken, who you really are. Thoughts and appearances are always changing, but the real infinite you is eternal and changeless. Faith is the absolute knowing and recognition of this truth that has no opposite. It has no opposite. Doubt and non-fulfillment are an impossibility when you're feeling that faith, when you're feeling that true you. How do you know? The more effortless you feel, the more ease you feel, the more love you feel, the more faith you have because you're feeling who you really are. Do you hear it? When you have those moments, right? Because the belief is something you struggle to believe, right? But perfect belief is absolute faith. It's that ease and that effortlessness where life just unfolds within you. Do you hear this, right? So now faith, and this is what Scripture says, right? Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. We've covered this in many different videos, talking about Neville Goddard and all of that. But what I want to say here, what I love about this definition, it's substance of things hoped for, because it's the substance of who you are. You are that substance. You are that love. But it's the evidence of things not seen. In other words, you can't see who you really are. If you can see it, then you're not really it. If it's an object to you, then it's not who you truly are, right? Thoughts are an object. The 3D mind is an object. 3D conditions are an object. Your mind's an object. You create those, right? You are the perceiver of those, but who you really are, you cannot see. You can only be it. Wow, that's big. That's why I love that. It's evidence. Faith is that evidence. That's what faith is. You can't see it, but it's the evidence of that unseen. So true faith is a knowing within. Otherwise, it's mere belief. And belief implies the possibility of doubt and non-fulfillment. Knowing implies fulfillment. It implies that non-fulfillment is an impossibility. Doubt is impossible when you know. Do you get it? That's what true faith is, right? The belief implies the possibility of doubt and non-fulfillment. It introduces doubt. Absolute faith is absolute knowing. It's perfect belief, if it's belief at all, right? It is the truth within, beyond the duality of belief and disbelief. Belief and disbelief is duality. Absolute faith is unity. It's the truth of who you are. Yes, it's love. It's that absoluteness, right? It's the truth of being, the truth of oneness, the truth of fulfillment as your natural state. The truth of being, the truth of oneness, the truth of fulfillment as your natural state. That's big today. Big opening today, guys. In Scripture, Jesus compares faith to that of a mustard seed, and also compares the kingdom of heaven to a mustard seed. So 5 times Jesus uses a mustard seed. What's the big deal? I've talked about this in several videos now. The mustard seed's a big deal. Remember, it was very popular back then. It was a very tiny seed. It wasn't the smallest of all seeds, but Jesus used that in a parable. But it was tiny. And when you planted it, it grew, and it grew fast into a mustard plant. The manifestation of the demonstration was quick. It was fast, right? The mustard seed, though tiny in size, grows into a large mustard plant, right? Sprouts and grows quickly after it's planted. It expands, it extends. That's why he used faith, compared this, right? Because remember, absolute faith and the complete and perfect plan of fulfillment is contained in the seed, right? It's already there. A mustard seed, this is what Neville Goddard says. This is why a mustard seed is so perfect. A mustard seed is conscious of being a mustard seed and only a mustard seed alone. That's why Jesus compares a mustard seed to faith. It's absolute faith. A mustard seed has the absolute faith that it will grow into a mustard plant and only a mustard plant. And it knows it's in the bag. It knows the plan of fulfillment is within itself and that it must grow into a mustard plant. It's yourself being conscious of that I am, knowing who you are, right? Knowing that I am, being conscious of your higher self. A mustard seed is the infinite self, and within it is the plan of your eternal plan of fulfillment. Do you hear it? That's why he compares it to faith and the kingdom of heaven. So let's break it down a little bit more. 5 times, Jesus is either comparing the mustard seed to faith or the kingdom of heaven. In other words, having absolute faith or knowing in your higher self or the kingdom. Faith is an absolute knowing. In what? In your higher self. What's your higher self? That's the kingdom. Do you hear this? That's why 5 times he's comparing the mustard seed to faith, 2 times to the kingdom of heaven, 3 times. In other words, faith, absolute faith represents knowing that your higher self represents the kingdom, right? And here in Matthew 17:20, right, this is when his disciples asked Jesus why they couldn't drive out the demons of somebody, right? They were trying to drive out demons, and Jesus drove the demons out. Remember, the demons represent just thoughts, negative thought in the scripture. That evil represents negative thought, negative conditions, right? It represents thoughts of separation or limitation or the ego. That's what Jesus was demonstrating there. And when his disciples asked him, why couldn't we drive that out? He said, because of the littleness of your faith, right? The littleness of your knowing, right? That knowing within, the littleness of your recognition of who you really are, right? If you had, and then he goes on to say, if you had the faith the size of a mustard seed, in other words, not because it's small faith, but because it's absolute, because faith is absolute. A mustard seed is absolutely conscious of being a mustard plant. So again, it's not that we're not talking about a little bit of faith here. We're talking about that faith is absolute, right? You will say, in other words, you'll have the thought or the word, right? When he says say, it could be words, but it's usually we're talking about thought within, right? Your imaginal self. You will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. And nothing will be impossible to you. In other words, he's talking about shifting realities through thought, through word, through faith. Faith of what? Of a mustard seed? Not a tiny bit of faith. Absolute faith. There is no such thing. Faith is faith. It's absolute. It's a knowing. That's why Jesus used it. And then in Luke 17:5-6, it says, Jesus says to his disciples, his disciples ask him again, Father, how do we increase, or they plead with Jesus, increase our faith. They plead with them. And Jesus doesn't even answer them. He just says, if you had faith like a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and be planted in the sea, and it would obey you. Again, he's pointing back to faith being absolute, right? It's not a little bit of faith. It's just, that's why he didn't answer the question, or that's why he didn't increase their faith. He already knows that they already have that complete faith within them. Do you hear this? Increase our faith. Jesus knew that's not the question. You already have that faith within you. Your higher self, and you're already complete, you're already perfect, you're already whole. There's no way to increase your faith. You contain all faith. You are absolute. What you need to do is increase your recognition of it. That's what he's saying here. If you had the faith like a mustard seed, if you recognize that faith, you would say to that mulberry tree, be uprooted and be planted in the sea, and it would obey you. That absolute faith, that absolute knowing is already what you are. It's your true nature. That's what Jesus was saying there. That's why he answered their plea of increase our faith with this parable and comparing it again to a mustard seed. And then Jesus goes on and compares the kingdom of heaven to the kingdom of heaven. In Matthew 13 and Matthew 4 and in Luke 13, he compares the kingdom of heaven. In other words, your I amness, your higher self, ultimate reality is the kingdom of heaven. Your higher self is the kingdom of heaven. Your I am is the kingdom of heaven, to a mustard seed. He again compares it to a kingdom. And as you turn within, your recognition of your true nature grows. In other words, as you turn within to the kingdom is within you, you become more and more aware that you already are, you always have been, and will ever forever be unlimited, whole, all-powerful, and all-knowing, unchangeable and untouchable. But the mind and body, the thoughts, feelings, and 3D conditions are not who you really are. Do you get this? The mind, body, those thoughts, feelings, and 3D conditions are not who you really are. You turn within to the kingdom, right? That's why Jesus compares a mustard seed to the kingdom of heaven. Because a mustard seed, although by appearances it looks puny, it looks tiny, it looks small, it looks weak, it's the complete opposite. Within it is an infinity. Within it is unlimitedness. Within it is all power, all knowing. Right? Everything is within it. You are an infinite being believing you're little, separate, and limited. You're unlimited. Right? That's what he meant by that. Don't judge by appearances of a mustard seed. A mustard seed immediately starts sprouting and starts spreading and starts extending, like the kingdom of heaven. When you turn to that kingdom of heaven, when you turn to that awareness within, that awareness grows. Remember, when you turn to God, God turns to you. And that awareness grows and grows and grows because you're already a fully evolved, fully enlightened being, spiritual being, having a physical experience. Right? So it's about recognition. I am an individual separate from the all. That's the ego. This is Lester Levinson talking. This is what we say. We say, I am an individual separate from the all. This is when you feel like puny, when you're looking at appearances, right? You are an infinite being believing you're little, separate, and limited. That's why Jesus uses the mustard seed that appears to be small, appears to be puny, that doesn't appear to be infinite, doesn't appear to be all-powerful, doesn't appear to be unlimited. But when you plant it, it grows into a mustard tree and grows fast and it extends fast. That's what we're talking about here. So remember, it's perfect. I am perfect. We're going to talk about these in our next video. Big video coming up on the most powerful affirmation ever, really. And remember, that's the truth. The one thought that makes you free is this perfection of the kingdom within you, right? You just know that everything is perfect, and the slightest thought you have will quickly come into being. This is Lester Levinson talking about when you go within, when you see that perfection, when you turn towards the kingdom, and you let go of all that middle, the 3D thoughts, the 3D feelings, the 3D conditions that you're focusing on, right? Remember, it's the secret of the ancient secret of the excluded middle, excluding that middle and going directly to that larger you. Now you're the witness, not the doer. You allow things to happen. You allow it to be. Lester Levinson, right? God is perfect. That's all there is. And look to perfection, and that's all you'll ever meet within. You look to that perfection, you understand that you're perfect. That becomes your one thought, your one imagined end. And now you are creating from that inner infinite being within. But when you ask how, when you say that's too easy or it's too simple, then you never get there. Because you're creating a reality of it being too simple. It can't be. Do you hear this, right? Now that's the absolute faith of a mustard seed, and that's really the kingdom of heaven. That's what we're talking about. The next video is going to be powerful. We're going to really hit this idea on this affirmation of being perfect. Watch this, and you'll never lose faith again. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, members, thank you. Thank you for being with me. I think we're hitting our 2-year anniversary. I just want to thank you for being with Be Something Wonderful, for watching the videos, for leaving those lovely and loving and powerful and grateful comments on the channel. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for considering the membership channel. And if you're a member, thank you for joining it and being a member. Thank you for looking at our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/Be Something Wonderful, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. I love you all. Be sure to visit our social media on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron, or just go to our website anytime at tomcaron.com or BeSomethingWonderful.com. That has all that information and more. Guys, next powerful video coming up. It's an affirmation that's instant, it's immediate, and it shifts you to where you want to be immediately. I am your host, Tom Caron. Until next time, this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. With great love, with great light, and infinite gratitude. Creators, see you soon.